I had a little visit, Evan, with a fund manager named Dan Dent, who is, I believe, the only fund manager in the country who's ever run the Iditarod,
Right.
which is no
Can't be that many people who do the Iditarod.
No
in any case.
picnic.
Do we have the photos? And you got the video right now. There are the photos. There he is.
Yeah,
Jason,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can see him right there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. And what is the connection here between the Iditarod and investing? Or what does Mr. Dent see as the connection?
Well, I think the connection, Evan, is, it wasn't that long ago, even 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, a lot of people thought, if you're in the stock market, it's like, it's like no risk, right?
Right.
You remember that thing about how if you hold stocks long enough, the risk of holding stocks goes away?
Right. Well, that does go away. It's diminished. It's diminished.
No, a lot of people said it went away.
Yeah? Okay.
Well, that idea has gone away.
Yeah.
And, I think the right way to think about the risk of investing in the stock market is the only way you can get the higher potential return that stocks offer is by taking the actually higher risk that they guarantee.
Right. Right.
And so, if you think about what it's like to mush 16 dogs across 1,000 miles of frozen Alaska.
I had one dog in my adult life. I couldn't even get that dog to go to the bathroom where I wanted it.
Yeah, that's about right. But I mean, you're talking about 40 below zero, 50 mile an hour winds, 9 days
Right.
of like bitter cold.
Right.
That's
You got to. It takes something to stick to. Now, interestingly, what Dan Dent shows is his very, very, very low portfolio turnover. Correct.
Yeah.
He invests in mid cap stocks.
Yeah.
He's got very low portfolio turnover, which is unlike, most asset managers today.
Yeah, and
what is the average holding period of most of his contemporaries? It was low. I read it in your piece.
Yeah, the average holding period for the typical mid-cap fund manager is about 10 months. And, Dan Dent holds his stocks for an average of about 6 years.
Right.
So that gives you a sense. He's about 7 times more
So
patient.
he tries to take out let's call it the market timing element out of it. And he had one big success. I don't know, it was Fastenal, was it?
Yeah,
was
Fastenal, yeah.
Right, and he did phenomenally well. But as you point out in your piece, we got a chart there. I don't think that's showing. At various points in the history of Fastenal, which I think he's owned the stock for 30 years or
25 years almost. Yeah.
That stock, at various points was down 50% or over a 6-month period or something like that.
Yeah, and it's up about 200-fold from the time he bought it in the first place. And, that's a pretty good long run, but the only way you can get there is you got to take the spills along the way. And that's what the Iditarod is all about, right? You fall off the sled, you don't let go of the sled.
Right.
Because if you let go of the sled, your dogs don't know to stop.
Right.
They don't know.
They can't tell that the weight has changed on the sled?
Well, they can tell, but they're primed. They're just going to go.
They're just going.
Yeah, they're going with you or without you.
Yeah, and a bit like the stock market, we're really stretching these metaphors, but a bit like the stock market, if you let go of the sled in September of 2008 or March of 2009, it's hard to get back on it. Which I'm sure has been a key concern for a lot of investors out there. Most retail investors were so freaked out that they're not going back in.
Yeah. Well, you raised a really critical point, Evan, which is that what all this is really about is emotion, and the key emotion is regret. If you got out of the stock market in the fall of 2008 or the spring of 2009, today you're looking back and you say, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have gotten out. But the next immediate thought in your head is, do I really want to make another one?
Right.
And so what those kinds of drastic actions tend to do is they lock people in and they freeze them. Because you make one mistake, then the most important thing to you becomes not undoing your mistake, but making sure you don't make another one.
Right. You don't want to look stupid twice.
Exactly. That's much worse than looking stupid once.
Okay. So when we look at it, is there anything different in what Mr. Dent says than, say, what you'd get from a Warren Buffett or a Jack Bogle? I mean, there are a lot of recurrent themes here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just think it's interesting to hear from somebody who, through physical and psychological endurance, is kind of giving us a metaphor of what it's like.
He's not a young guy.
He's, he just did in January. He just did his most recent sled dog race, it was a mere 200 miles in a mere 20 below zero for over a day and 3/4. So, at the age of 70.
Okay, I know you're not 70, but do we have the Iditarod in Jason Zweig's plans?
I think
What?
I have a dog, Evan,
You
but
have-
there's no way she's mushing.
There's no.